shadows are all around us, and sometimes they move like a quiet storm. Often they do not tell others of the wonderful work that they are doing. Today, I have the pleasure of speaking with my community hero, Dr. Janet Etzi. She saw a need for victims and she jumped right in. She is offering free therapy services to community members, co-homicide survivors, and victims affected by crime in the city of Philadelphia through Northwest Victim Service. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Janet Etzi. Dr. Etzi, you have a radio show on G-Town Radio. Please tell me how you got your radio show started.
Okay. Yeah, the radio show is called Wake Up Call. And the way it got started, a few years ago now, I had a sabbatical from my teaching position at Immaculata University, where I teach. So on that sabbatical, I decided to read the writings of James Baldwin, his collected essays. And I really immersed myself in those writings. And it was life-changing for me. Baldwin taught me so much about America and the American identity and how skin color shapes the American identity and the American experience. And after reading that, I spent a good almost a year just immersing myself in those essays. And I really felt like I needed to share these ideas and this new perspective I was gaining as a white person in America. And I actually had the idea and the impulse to just go out and start reading him out loud. So I tried to find spots in the area, especially where white people are. And I sat down one day and just started reading. And I was shocked, but I was kind of threatened. I mean, it made people extremely uncomfortable. So I didn't feel good about it. I had a terrible feeling doing that. And then I also had a friend who had another radio program on G-Town Radio. And I was talking to her and she said, you should talk to Tom Cassetta, who's the manager there and the program director. And we talked and he said, yeah, it sounds like a great idea for a show. And I've been doing it ever since for 2 years now. It's been a full 2 years and it's on every other Saturday morning at 9 o'clock. It's called Wake Up Call. And I have had guests, but when I don't have guests, I kind of, I'll do some readings from Baldwin and then just kind of reflect on those passages and play some music.
When you do have your guests, do you have those sensitive conversations or those conversations that are like, okay, this is something that we really need to talk about that a lot of people shy away from? And what has been the response of your audience?
Well, I mean, it's extremely powerful experience for me. You bet it's sensitive. It's more than that. It's painful for white people to start to think about this. And so some of my guests have been, my wish has been to teach white people, like to teach them about the Black experience and how different it is from the white experience. Because what I know growing up white is that we don't think about this. White privilege in my mind is a lot about not having to think about skin color in America. But the less we think about it, the kind of more oblivious we are to the other reality, So some of my guests have been historians. You know, James Baldwin talks an awful lot about history and about how we're, as Americans, we're really not in touch with our real history. We like to focus on all the glory and all the beauty,
Right.
um, and we ignore, you know, the other part. Um, how what we did to the native peoples that were already here, and then of course slavery. And so it's been important for me to have historians on, and I've had a few who have talked about the doing of history and how even the doing of history, you know, can be very biased, and it is very biased. I had another historian talking about police shootings, specifically in Philadelphia. And she's probably finished now, but she was working on her dissertation on this topic, and she would go to those neighborhoods where there had been a recent shooting and just kind of hang out there and document the experience of what was going on in that community after the shooting. And it was just about that time when I saw the article about you in the Tribune, in the Philadelphia Tribune. And that's when I decided I need to do something more. So I
Which is amazing, Dr. Etzi. So for all of the viewers, Dr. Etzi saw an article in the newspaper about Northwest Victim Services and the services we offer to victims. And she reached out to me and we clicked immediately. I was so impressed that she reached out to me. And then for her to learn that the services that Northwest Victim Services is providing are free. So Dr. Etzi reached out to me in May of 2021, and she's offering free therapy services to victims, co-homicide survivors, community members affected by crime. And since May to present, she's seen over 70 victims and family members and has not once said, Melany, can I get compensated for? So this is so amazing. And you are a true community hero to me because you saw a need and you acted upon that need as opposed to someone saying, oh my goodness, I have to do something, but they never really act upon that. I need to do something. What has been the most eye-opening experience for you since you've been providing services at Northwest Victim Services?
Oh my goodness. The people are so amazing. They are so amazing. It's even hard for me to put into words, and it's very emotional for me. The family members, and I guess I have to say, especially the mothers. You know, you know, I've been brought to this work. This is something I had no choice. I believe that it's a calling, and I was brought here, and I am benefiting so tremendously. It's been an honor to work with every single one of these people, all of these family members. Some of them are shooting victims themselves. There are some amazing young men who, I mean, it's just like there's something holy going on in these sessions because their lives are changed. And, you know, I need to say this. I know I'm rambling a little bit, but this experience has been so powerful for me that it's not very logical. It's just, there's so much richness to it. But, you know, when I first started, I don't know if you remember this, Melany, but I said to you, I'm not sure I like the word victim because that word has a connotation in our culture. But you know what? I looked it up. I went to an etymological dictionary, which gives the origins of words. And do you know what victim, the origin of victim is? It's the consecrated. So it's someone who has been made sacred and holy. And that is my experience. So these people are struggling to the degree that most of us can't even imagine. I mean, it's hard to imagine losing a child, losing a son or a daughter or a sister, but especially your own child. And most of these victims are sons. And so I am very much mindful of their experience. I mean, the term that's come up for me is it's impossible grief. It's impossible grief. And they're all telling me, the mothers are telling me, you know, I don't want to hear from people that it'll be okay.
Right.
It won't be okay.
Right.
Or they tell me, I don't want to hear that God only gives you what you can bear.
Right. Right.
No, this is unbearable.
Mm-hmm.
And from my training as a psychologist, I know to just be with them in whatever their experience is. And I guess that's the biggest eye opener for me is, I mean, I thought I understood that already, but I didn't understand it until I started doing this work in May.
And it's something how when I speak to mothers or fathers, grandmothers, grandfathers, guardians, people say things that they may not know is so insensitive. Like, oh, well, you have other children. At least you have another son. At least you have another daughter. That is so heartbreaking for someone to hear that has lost a loved one. And I explain that to victims when I'm speaking to them. Sometimes people just don't know, and their words are so hurtful. Dr. Etzi, you are a licensed psychologist, and you have been providing therapy for years upon years. Right. But this is a new world for you. Yeah. Has providing services to so many people affected by crime just opened up a new lens for you?
It sure has. Like I said, I thought I was doing decent work, for sure. I was doing good work.
Yes.
But this has taught me a whole new dimension of what happens between 2 or 3 or 4 people if we're in a family session, and what can be shared. And now I'm sharing what I'm learning with my students. I teach doctoral level students, and I have so much more to share with them now. And it's just so much clearer to me what the essence of this work is. And you know what it is? It's compassion. It's just compassion and paying attention to what's going on in the moment. So yeah, you have to learn a lot of the book knowledge and the concepts and the principles behind psychotherapy and all the rest of it. But when it comes down to it, and the research shows this too, the most important part of this is the relationship. And so this just really confirms that in the most powerful way. And then, of course, it also has opened up a true experiential dimension in terms of my radio program, in terms of all those ideas I was talking about related to Baldwin's writings. But now it's like, I'm living this out. And I'll tell you something else that has been painful, but an important lesson is that every mother and father I talk to in this work with the victims is, they most of them start off by saying, my son was a good boy. And it breaks my heart because I know your son was a good boy, but they feel like they have to say that to people. And what does that say about our culture? It says that we have the bias, we're prejudging. They must be bad kids if they got shot. They're
Right.
not. They're not. They're all good kids. They're all struggling. They're all good kids.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's amazing. You say that. It is, for me, when victims come to me and family members come to me, I don't want them to have to pull out an insurance card and need to give me that for them to be able to utilize free services. But it is so important to be able to work with families and provide free therapy services, because there are people out here, and I'm sure you know, who have untreated trauma. And that untreated trauma is dangerous. And then that's why we're probably seeing a whole lot of the shootings that are taking place in the city of Philadelphia. To be able to offer free therapy to all those in need is unbelievable. I saw on the news probably about 2 or 3 weeks ago, one of my sister agencies, they actually have a waiting list. So I brag on Northwest Victim Services. No, we don't have a waiting list. If you are a victim of a crime and you are in need of therapy, call me directly at 267-808-0350. Everybody has my cell phone number, and I want to keep it that way. We are truly going to utilize you and keep utilizing you. So bring your team on, because it is a need that cannot go unnoticed. What part of the city do you live in, Dr. Etzi?
I live in East Mount Airy.
Wow. So it must be something for you to provide services to so many victims. So you're East Mount Airy, and then you come down a few blocks from like going up to Chestnut Hill and going down to Brickyard or certain parts of Germantown. It's so much different. So how does it feel now to be able to serve victims in your backyard and to know so many shootings are happening blocks away from your home?
I know. I'm afraid that I've begun to hear gunfire outside. I'm afraid that's true. I'm not afraid. Every time I hear a siren, I'm much more sensitized now to where that is going, where they're going. But yeah, I've been living here. I moved here a year ago, a little more than a year ago. I lived in Chestnut Hill, and I've just been going through a tremendous life change, and I love Philadelphia. I grew up in Pittsburgh, but I've been in Philadelphia since '84, and Philly's my home. And I love this city. I love the people of Philadelphia. And I mean, every time I leave, I just want to go home. I want to go home because that's where my people live.
I hear you.
And I always feel better when I'm here. But you're right. I mean, if you hang out in Chestnut Hill, which is changing, but not a lot. And then make your way down. To me, it gets richer and richer and more beautiful as you move down this way. And it's breaking my heart that people who live in the city, no matter where they live, are looking at these specific zip codes with all these shootings, and they can't see. I mean, they're seeing with the eyes, I'm afraid, of the white-owned media, and they're not seeing the reality. And this is what's so frustrating to me. And I am so happy, and I feel blessed that we don't have a waiting list. But on the other hand, I'm outraged that we can't pay 10 therapists to be in every agency that's providing these services. I mean, I'm grateful that I don't need the money right now. So grateful. But most people can't do this.
They can't. And we would not, let's be totally clear, we would not be able to afford you if you even said,
I know.
This is what the compensation is for my services. We're a small nonprofit, but boots on the ground. My cell phone is always on. So weekend, holidays, evenings, I am always working, but we're that small nonprofit and we're affected right now because we're not able to have fundraisers because of COVID. And fundraisers play a crucial part of our financial agency budget. So we are financially, we're okay where we're able to make payroll and pay our bills. And that's done by, okay, let me look and see what's in the account. Let me go ahead and put this payroll through. But we receive funding through PCCD, who we are grateful for. And we also receive funding from the Philadelphia District Attorney's Office. But it's hard. It's hard for us to be able to provide all of the services that community members and people need that are affected by crime. So again, I thank you so much. You are truly a community hero to me. I am so glad you picked up the newspaper on that day and read the article and said, I want to be able to give back to my community. Now, do you think this will broaden your radio show and that you will now maybe have some victims on your show? And another thing I wanted to ask you, a lot of the victims, family members, and co-homicide survivors that you see look like me.
Right.
Are they receptive when they see a therapist that looked like you?
It doesn't even seem to, from what I can tell, it's like, who? I mean, and we will have the conversation about white and black, and I bring it up. I like to tell them. Now, I don't tell everyone because I want to see where people are before I start telling them my story, but some of them want to hear from me. So I like to give them some idea of who I am and why I'm doing this. And I tell them in some more simplified version what I just explained to you, that I really felt that I was called to do this. This is important for me to do. And I feel privileged to be able to sit down with you. And I'm actually, the first thing I say to them is how sorry I am for their loss. So it's all about the human connection. I mean, I weep with people, it just, we're there together. So I think, of course, I'm a white person and I'm coming from this other place. But I'm coming in humility, and I really want to convey that you're teaching me and you are letting me into your hearts. And I think, we have a true connection once that is said.
And that's awesome. When Dr. Etzi reached out to me, I did not see any difference in her or me. I'm not looking at the shade of someone's skin. I am looking at the beauty in their eyes and their heart. So that's what we have to do. Don't judge anyone based on their skin color. We are all alike and we should love one to another. Dr. Etzi, thank you so much for reaching out to me. I know we will be connected for a long time.
I know it.
I have to take you out often to get you some wine so that way you can relax.
Okay.
And wine is good. Wine is good.
Good. It's very good.
It's good for the heart because I got to keep your heart healthy. because you will be with Northwest Victim Services for a very, very long time. Again, I truly thank you, Dr. Etzi. You are my community hero. Thank you so much for all that you're doing.
Thank you, Melany.
In the city
Thank
of
you so
Philadelphia.
much.
Dr. Etzi is truly my community hero, and I thank her for all she is doing for those affected by crime in the city of Philadelphia. If you would like to make a difference in the Northwest section of Philadelphia and you have free resources that could help our agency, please contact me directly at 267-808-0350. Together, we can make a change and we can stop gun violence in our city, the city of brotherly love, peace, and blessing.